All right. אתה יכול לשים אותי.
All right, you ready? You're going to be
כן,
on
כן.
video. You're on video now.
Okay.
I'm going to bring you off mute now as well.
טוב.
So 3, 2, 1, you're off mute.
Okay. Hello, I'm Tal Heinrich, a spokesperson for the Prime Minister's office. Thank you for joining us today. I will start with a brief update before taking a few questions. You can type them in. Approximately 8,000 Hamas rockets have been fired at Israel since October 7th. Over 1,400 Israelis have been killed and over 5,300 injured. The IDF has updated that the families of 224 Israeli hostages have been notified. Regarding the hostages still being cruelly held by Hamas, I want to tell you about one of the hostages, Erez Calderon. Today is Erez's 12th birthday. As part of the October 7th massacre, Erez was abducted by Hamas terrorists from kibbutz near Oz with his father, Ofer, and older sister, Sahal. Erez is one of 30 children under the age of 16 in Hamas's captivity. Erez loves to ride horses and bikes and to play his saxophone. He is deeply loved by his family and always has a smile on his face. Erez is the youngest of 4 children, part of a family that will never be the same. The Calderon family are still mourning Erez's grandmother, Carmela, and cousin Noya, both brutally murdered on October 7th. Erez isn't celebrating his 12th birthday. Instead, he's being held hostage in a hellish Hamas cell. Israel demands that the international community apply all possible pressure on Hamas and its supporters to release all hostages immediately and unconditionally. We also call on the International Red Cross to fulfill its duties. We demand that they see the hostages, ensure the humanitarian care, and arrange for their immediate release. The IDF has taken further significant steps to dismantle Hamas. We are ready for the next stage of the war against Hamas, a war, to remind you, that Israel did not start, but will finish. We will destroy Hamas as the world defeated ISIS for the sake of our people and for the sake of humanity. This is not just our fight. Overnight, the IDF's Givati Brigade conducted a targeted raid with tanks in the northern Gaza Strip. This is part of our preparations for the next stage of any combat activity. During the operation, the IDF located and struck terrorists, anti-tank missile launch posts, and other terror infrastructure. In addition, the IDF successfully targeted Hassan el-Abdallah, the commander of Hamas's northern Khan Yunis rockets array. Israel is doing everything in its power to minimize harm to civilians. This includes dropping leaflets to warn residents, securing radio announcements, calling for the people of Gaza to move south, and also calling residents to individually encourage them to move to safer zones. Earlier today, the IDF released a recording of a phone conversation between an officer and a resident of the Gaza Strip, with the officer imploring the residents to move south out of harm's way. The resident explains that he cannot head south for safety as Hamas is doing everything it can to keep civilians in the line of fire, setting up roadblocks, shooting at them, cynically using people of Gaza as human shields. While Hamas continues to have no regard for the life of people in Gaza, Israel continues to allow aid trucks to enter Gaza, trucks bringing food, water, and medicine to civilians. These trucks are checked before they enter the Strip. Israel is ensuring that supplies designated for humanitarian aid are not being stolen by Hamas and weaponized against the people of Israel. Thank you. I will now address your questions. You can type them in, or you can raise your hand on Zoom and we will unmute you so you can ask me the question. I'll hear you. Do we have any questions? Anyone? If you want to ask, please raise your hand or type it in the chat box. Nathan, we have anything? Not so far? Let's see. If you have any questions, again, type them in. You can also send the questions to us in advance when we send you out the link for the daily briefing, by the way. If you have an earlier question that you want to submit that we will address in the daily briefing, so feel free to send them to the email address that you have. No questions today. Okay, no questions.
There's a guy, Coach Winehouse. You can offer him. He's just written one question, so ask him to come off mute.
Okay. Coach Winehouse? Yeah? Okay. We will unmute you. Let's see. You are unmuted now, I think, right, Nathan? Yes. Go ahead. We most certainly have no comments about such report. In fact, it's the first time I think that I'm hearing that, so not familiar with such report and no comment. Anyone else wants to ask a question?
Just I'll put you on mute. There's a question from Eddie.
So we have another question about a ground offensive. Is it coming in the next few days? So for very obvious reasons, I cannot speculate about stage 2 of this operation. We're not talking about military strategy, operational strategy moving ahead. But as you can imagine, these important discussions are being held at the highest levels of the Israeli government and the Israeli military. And our leadership, the military leadership, the political leadership, are looking at so many different variables as they calculate the optimal time to move into stage 2 of the operation to dismantle Hamas. We are also talking to international partners because, as you know, there are also foreign nationals or dual nationality holders who are being held in captivity in the Gaza Strip. So whenever you see all these headlines in the press, and I know that's what you're alluding to, that there's a delay, so to say, that word doesn't fit because Israel is a sovereign state, and we will make our own decisions when the time is right, when the conditions are right. And once we make it, obviously you will know about it. But we cannot speculate ahead of time. All right. All right, Jim Williams, you have a question, and we will unmute you. We see the hand raised. 1 second. Yes, I can. Hi, Jim. You mean if we contacted Twitter or Facebook directly, these companies? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Okay, so we are monitoring social media, obviously, and all these platforms. I cannot tell you specifically if we made contact with a certain company and so on, but we are monitoring what's happening, and obviously we are very disappointed, just like it sounds like you are, about seeing so much disinformation and fake reports circulating. But in terms of contacting the companies themselves, I will have to check about that and report back to you as I get a solid answer about that. It's not just the Prime Minister's office that's monitoring it, but also the IDF spokesperson unit and COGUT and everyone else. So I will get an answer for you, Jim. Thank you for bringing it up. All right. Sure. Mm-hmm. Sure. Do we have more questions? In the chat box, Nathan?
I'm muting you now. There's a guy, Hell, who's asking.
Guy, we have a question from Guy. Guy, we will unmute you now, next. And once I can hear you, let's see. Here. Oh. What's the name?
Hell.
Pell. Hi, Pell. Mm-hmm. I'm not. So it's a post from a private organization saying that Western media. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, well, I'm not going to comment about a specific post, but just, that saying that Western media is brainwashing people to stand by Israel. Listen, we see this war as the war of the civilized world. Again, a war, just like I said in the debrief, it's a war that we didn't start and didn't even expect, as you know. Unfortunately, we weren't expecting it. We were surprised. So we regard this war as a war between sheer evil, as President Biden called it, as we know from the evidence of the atrocities that they committed. And it's the war of, yes, Israel is at the front lines of it, but it's a war of the civilized world against terrorism. And anyone who is against terrorism should simply stand by Israel. It's not that complicated. There's a Jewish and democratic state that is fighting after suffering such a major loss, and we're still shocked, we're still mourning, and this is a counteroffensive. So I don't know about Western media and brainwashing and this terminology of this post, but it's a no-brainer here. It's a no-brainer. If you are part of the civilized world, you should stand by Israel. That's what posts on social media should say. There's no moral equivalency here, and yeah. Mm-hmm. About being anti-Semitic. So you see, again, every time when someone chants the slogan "From the river to the sea," which is basically the slogan is what they have done to us on October 7th with this massacre, that's the manifestation of the slogan, if you will, because their aim, Hamas's terrorist aim, was to create a Jews-free, Judenrein, if you will, territory between the Mediterranean River and the sea. Now, that is anti-Semitic. That is anti-Semitic. It's not only, being Jewish, it's not only about religion, it's about nationality as well. That is anti-Semitic, or denying the connection between the Jewish people and their ancestral homeland. That's anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli, obviously. So that's all I can say in that respect. Do we have another question? Yeah. David Isaac, JNS. So I think when you're asking videos proving that, you should look at what Hamas themselves are posting. And, all these on Telegram, as much as I know, because I've seen some of these videos, and you can see that some of these people who came out of Gaza, some of them are Hamas terrorists, but we do know that some citizens also, got out of the Gaza Strip and participated in the invasion of Israel. And also, if you saw some of these videos of when they brought to Gaza some of the hostages, you can see how some of the population there reacted and celebrated, rather. So I think there's no way to turn it around. It's not as if we do know, unfortunately, that Hamas does enjoy support among large segments of the Palestinian population. Not all, but it does. More questions?
I think you can take Michael Dos Santos off.
Michael Dos Santos. One second. Okay, Michael Dos Santos. All right, you're unmuted now. Hi. I think I can hear you guys. Dos Santos? Wait, I can't hear you. So do you have, what did you want to ask? I don't think, I'm not sure we unmuted the right person. Let's try again. Michael Dos Santos? Okay. All right. Anyone wants to type in another question? Do we have anything in the chat box? No, right, Nathan? Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Why, do you mind typing it in? Why are the Palestinians in Gaza again? Oh, can't leave? Why can't the so excuse me, because I'm not getting I mean, it's a bit blurry, the sound. Why aren't the Palestinians in Gaza why can't they leave? Well, we are calling on Palestinians in the north. Where? When? All right, yeah. Into the Sinai, you're asking? Again? Until December. Why, I mean, why you're asking about December? Yeah, yeah, yep. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so I haven't seen this statement on behalf of the Ministry of Defense. Again, we have no timeline right now. We haven't defined any timeline for the operation. What we have defined is the goal for the war in Gaza, and that will mean that the goal will be accomplished once we have dismantled Hamas, once they no longer have any kind of governance bodies and a military wing and so on. Once Hamas will be gone and surrender, and we will eliminate this threat, that would mean that we have accomplished the goal. So I'm not sure about this very specific statement that you floated, but that is our only defined mission right now. We have no timeline as for accomplishing that goal, because the Prime Minister has repeatedly said that it will take us as long as it will take. There's no stopwatch here. There's no stopwatch. That's the answer. All right. That concludes the daily briefing for today. Thank you.
What was with the audio?
It's not the audio. She can't, like,